Alrighty. Hey cool people, I'm Nick, I'm a he, him, and you read the title. Also, thanks for 5,000 subs. Let's get started. Just shoot me in the face and then shoot the like button. Thanks. Pay attention, this will be on the quiz at the end. I had Encounter Plus on the whole time, and it likely affected my spawn rates, but it isn't necessary. My method of spawning was Step 0, load my data, don't want to make that mistake again. Step 1, enter the relevant Heartless room. Step 2, run in and out until they spawn, if necessary. Step 3, defeat it or lose, then go 2 rooms away. Step 4, save, then repeat Step 1. Step 4 is optional but helpful because if I wasn't getting consistent spawns, I would either reset and reload my data, hence the saving, or exit the world and land back in as a sort of like last-ditch effort to reset RNG. Also, we should have 3 cheers, hip hip hooray, and 3 lucky strikes equipped no matter what. If you don't have 3 of each, walk into traffic. But seriously, here's how we get those abilities. The last thing worth noting, I tried all variety of methods against these enemies, hit them, use magic, cyberbullying, limits, summons, and items sometimes, but for the sake of time I will just tell you what worked. Spoiler alert, it wasn't cyberbullying. Now, let's start for real. So, let's just get the worst one done first. It spawns in the 2nd district of Traverse Town, and it spawned most when I entered from the alleyway, 62% of the time. I didn't bother with the gizmo shop because who was coming from there, and the Dalmatian house had a 0% spawn. I just couldn't spot it. No, I actually forgot to test there. Also, we'll know if a Sniperwild spawns because we'll see it, or we'll run up to an enemy spawn point and no enemies will appear, like at the 1st and 3rd district entrances. Here's what I learned. Spawns tend to happen a lot in a row, as in several no spawns followed by several yes spawns. When attacked, Sniperwilds sprint around. Around the 19 Sniperwilds, they'll start to shoot at Sora to trick the player into thinking we've been caught. Dude, this Hawkeye main sucks! When actually caught, you can defeat the multitude of Sniperwilds, but they will spawn indefinitely. Also, don't be afraid to hide behind cover or leave combat in order to replenish MP or just take a moment, they won't despawn. Lastly, Sniperwilds drop Power Stones, and we only need 5 to synthesize 1 of every item, and the drop chance is increased with every 6 we defeat. Quick note about the info on the side, the spells for this assessment were Fire, Blizzard, Thunder, and their 3 tiers, Ruz and Guz and whatever. But Gravity isn't accounted for because as the enemy HP decreases, the MP requirement increases, so don't let it weigh on you. Haha. Strategy 1, Mushu. Strength is irrelevant here, just have as much MP as possible to prolong Mushu's summon. And here's what we do. When we get a Sniperwild spawn, we're going to run down on the Goofy to the 2nd hotel door. But don't go in and don't go so far that we leave combat. Then summon Mushu, fire breath as many Sniperwilds as we can in a row, in groups of 1, then 2, then 3, and then we'll repeat. Then, when Mushu is getting low, we'll return to where Donald and Goofy were and dismiss him. Then, intentionally leave combat. This part is crucial because we cannot summon the same summon more than once during the same combat encounter. So we'll leave combat, then re-enter combat, and repeat the process until victory. Note, Sniperwilds can and will jump away, so don't be afraid to chase them down if they leave Mushu's range. Strategy 2, Ars Arcanum's Bam. First, we'll prioritize Sora's strength and Goofy's MP, but then secondly, we'll boost Sora's MP as much as we can. Make sure Goofy has MP gift ability on as well, and we'll have some ethers or elixirs ready just in case. Combo the first Sniperwild, and then stand by the stair or wall in the narrow section. Lock onto the nearby Sniperwild when 2 spawn, then cast Ars Arcanum. Switch targets before the locked on one is defeated, then do it again for the 3 spawns. Once 2 of 3 are beaten, lock onto the 3rd and quickly combo it before it sees you. With this strat, I beat all 30 with relative ease, and if you want to add some flair, you can add in Stop against the 3rd Sniperwild to keep it from spotting you. And with that, we'll have stopped the Sniperwild from monkeying around. Gigas Shadow is located in the Bazaar Room of Wonderland, specifically when we're smaller than my bank account. And since there's only one relevant entrance, the Queen's Castle, I tested it 100 times and it has a 61% success rate. You'll know if you have a successful spawn because a wave of 10 shadows will appear under the table instead of your regularly scheduled Heartless. Firstly, get Iroga and always have it on as it can deflect attacks, which is crucial because hits landed on Sora will despawn Gigas Shadow. Our goal is to drop the HP of all 7 Gigas Shadows while taking as few hits as possible, ideally 0, to maximize our rewards. Always cast Thunder, Thundara, Thundaga on the 30 Shadows. It's a quick way to beat the 3 waves. We'll need 2 MP for Thunder and 1 MP for Thundara to one-shot them before rescue, and 16 MP for Thunder, 14 MP for Thundara, and 11 for Thundaga to one-shot them after rescue. Gigas Shadow drops Fury Stones, and for synthesis we only need 5. Stone drop percent is based on how many enemies we defeat by the end of the encounter. And lastly, something I learned about magic resistance is, if you, for instance, Thundaga spam a Gigas Shadow, we only need 9 MP to reach 40 damage, except Gigas Shadow has a 0.5 resist. Said another way, it takes half damage against Thunder, which means we'll only do maximally 20 damage. So that's wonderful! I'm gonna go see if this rope can hold 205 pounds. Don't worry, I weigh 204. Strategy 1, Dumbo. In case you don't have Aroga, we'll use Dumbo. Maximize Sora's MP, summon Dumbo before beating the 30th Shadow, then hold Spray to win. It really is that easy. Strategy 2, Strike Rate Spam. Maximize Sora's Strength and Goofy's MP, then secondarily, boost Sora's MP, and just before dispatching the 30th Shadow, cast Aroga and defeat it. Keep in mind, the more MP you have, the longer Aroga will stay up. Arrow, Aurora, and Aroga's formula is Sora's max MP multiplied by 2, which equals the amount of seconds it maintains, so more MP is good. Then when the Gigas Shadows appear, cast Strike Raid. When Strike Raid ends, dodge away if necessary and use it again. You'll have iframes during Strike Raid, so you can't get hit, but if Aroga wears off, you will be vulnerable after the final throw, so try to reapply it while it's still up in between casts of Strike Raid. And with that, Gigas Shadow has been knocked down to size. Black Ballade appears in Bamboo Thicket and Deep Jungle, and we're more likely to get a spawn coming from camp as opposed to cliff, 66% yes from camp compared to 44% yes from cliff. Black Ballade always despawns after 4 misses. It will increase tiers, aka speed, on each correct hit, and we only need 4 hits to win. The player has approximately 7 seconds to guess before the Black Ballade will forcibly count our attempt as a miss. Also, turn off the aerial sweep ability as it can accidentally hit a clone you did not intend to. Black Ballade always deflects Donald and Goofy's attacks. Speaking of, we should minimize their HP and MP bars so we have as much of the screen available as possible. Do not use summons to remove Donald and Goofy. Summons like Dumbo and Mushu don't hurt Black Ballade, and summons like Simba, Genie, and Bambi can have a giant charge bar and are more in the damn way. Bambi, oh my god, stop! Taking 8 steps away from the green pedestal, or 2 dodge rolls towards the camera, is the farthest distance Sora can be while still in combat, and will want to stay in combat, Keyblade drawn, so he crouches as to not block our line of sight. Lastly, Black Ballade drops Lightning Stones, of which we need 5 for synthesis. Each correct hit has a 10% chance to drop a stone, not factoring for lucky strikes, and a defeat has a 100% drop chance. As for strategies, there's really only one: hit it. Unfortunately, we just gotta do our best. Black Ballade will jump up to indicate which clone to watch, then we have to observe where it goes and attack the one we think it is because that's all we can do. Pause spam is an option, but I would save it for the 3rd and 4th tier. Also, I tallied how many times Black Ballade went to each spot for the 3 conditions of from the start, after a miss, and after a hit. And it's likely 1 in 5 chance for any outcome and luck is playing a role, but the data I gathered is used as a fallback just in case you lose track of your target. So when I say slot 1 or clone 1, I mean the leftmost Black Ballade, and when I say slot 5 or clone 5, I mean the rightmost. Overall, if clone 1 is what jumps in the air, it will most likely return to spot 1, and it's least likely to go to spot 4. Clone 2 will most likely go to spot 5, and is least likely to go to spot 3. Clone 3 will most likely go to spot 2, and is least likely to go to spot 1. Clone 4 is most likely to go to spot 2, and is least likely to go to spot 3. And Clone 5 is most likely to go to spot 4, but least likely to go to spots 2 or return to spot 5. Ballad, more like a requiem, zing! Agaricus appears in the treehouse of Deep Jungle when coming from the only location, climbing trees. It has a 38% spawn rate, which is not great. That could have just been poor RNG, but if you're also having trouble, consider dropping into vines too, then trying again, or saving, resetting, and reloading your data. Also, no, I absolutely did not test the spawn in Atlantica. I have some dignity, thank you. We need at least 14 MP to reach 100 hits, so even if that's not your goal, don't go lower than that amount. But here's my 3-minute quick video about getting 100 hits if that is, what you want. Anyway, stop is always going to be relevant here, and stop, like arrow, is just Sora's max MP times 2, equaling the seconds it stays. 14 MP being 28 seconds, 19 MP being 38 seconds. Donald and Goofy reduce your count if they hit Pink Agaricus. This includes if they have Arrow/Aroga on, so don't cast that on them. If you're on PS3, be sure to trap Dingle and Gibby on the latter platform by waiting for them there, then summoning Bambi. running to pink Agaricus, and then dismissing Bambi while facing Durgus and Gurgus so they don't teleport to you. You want to dismiss any summons you use, as you can't use limits when summons are out. Keep in mind, summons do 0 hits. Stopra and Ga aren't necessary, as they only increase the range of the spells, not the effectiveness. And as for the 3 white mushrooms beforehand, they can spawn 1 on the tree trunk, 2 on the net, 3 on the horizontal pole above the 2nd floor doorway, 4 inside on the 2nd floor, 5 in the rafters, 6 first floor under the stairs, 7 in the far boat, 8 on the front of the treehouse, 2nd floor balcony, 9 all the way up in the crow's nest. And I'm almost 100% certain which ones appear are based on the in-game timer, after I eliminated possible RNG factors like party composition, weapons, dodge rolls, jumps, attacks done, enemies beaten, accessories, abilities, shared abilities, customization, items, and even reloading my data. I always got the same 3 spawns of tree trunk, 2nd floor doorway, and the 2nd floor balcony while using my data with the in-game time of 99:59:59. I also tested them at the same level and at the same difficulty, but at hour 25, and mushrooms 1 and 3 did move around. So here's my assumption about how it works. Moving on. Pink Agaricus drops Serenity Power, of which we need 7 for Synthesis, 40, 50, and 60 hits has a 10% drop rate, 70, 80, 90 hits has a 20% drop rate, and 100 hits has a 100% drop rate. Something I haven't mentioned yet, 3 Lucky Strikes gives a multiplier of 2.5, so that'd be 25% for 40, 50, and 60 hits, and 50% for 70, 80, and 90 hits. And the last thing I learned is that we should always jump and fall into Pink Agaricus while casting Stop, as that cancels the stop animation, allowing us to hit Pink Agaricus sooner. So, aside from the tried and true method of Arrow or Aroga with 3 Ragnarok casts and a 5-hit air combo, we can use some other strategies to get to 80 plus hits if we're just doing this for the stones. A 5-hit air combo, just repeatedly done. What you want to do is manipulate the jump animation and do a very small tap of jump and then do 5 hits as fast as possible. Ars Arcanum with all the prompts except the finisher. There's just no lag time if you skip the finisher, so try it. And Ars Arcanum with all prompts and using ground hits with Slapshot while waiting to use it again. Basically, you just do a full Ars Arcanum cast, then you do a couple of small hits, 1 or 2 usually, and then you can Ars Arcanum again. Make sure you have Arrow and Aroga on for all strategies. With that mushroom capped, we can go on to our next fun guy. Pot Scorpion appears in the Palace Gates of Agrabah. Our only option is coming from Main Street. The upper door has a 64% success rate, and you can tell if it works by either looking down or looking across the way to the pots on the shorter rooftop. 3 pots means no, 1 pot means yes. As for the bottom entrance, very easy to tell if we got the spawn. We'll look, and if we see pots, we'll cook a roast. I've never used a pot before. The low entrance has a 72% success rate. Pot Scorpion drops Mythril Stone at 20% when beaten. If we break all 11 movable pots first, the 11th pot has a 10% drop chance, and Pot Scorpion's stone drop chance goes up to 35% when beaten, again, not factoring in Lucky Strike. When looking at the 12 pots, run into them, as the pot that doesn't move is the Pot Scorpion. Worth noting, its spawn is also dictated by the in-game timer, as on my 99:59:59 data, it only spawned in spot 7, if number 1 is the back left and number 12 is the front right. I also tallied its spawns on my 25-hour data. Like I said, if spot 1 is the back left and spot 12 is front right, then from the upper entrance, Pot Scorpion was most likely to be in spots 2 and 4. And from the low entrance, Pot Scorpion was most likely to be in spots 4 or 12. We need to attack its pot shell in order to taunt it, so it will attack us and we can parry or block to knock it on its back. We'll know if we're successful in taunting because it will do this kind of like knocked off balance animation, which was a really neat detail I never noticed before doing this. Now, it has 2 attacks we care about. We care about the 2 Claw Swipe and Charge. Claw Swipe is a distraction, only block on the charge to knock it over. And once its tail is dipped, it'll Tail Sting, which we can just immediately block when it turns towards us. Alternatively, we can use Aroga, but it will make doing damage to Pot Scorpion harder than if we didn't have it, so I recommend block over Aroga. Also, I recommend making Donald and Goofy more support-based. Since we have a limited amount of hits we can do to a knocked over Pot Scorpion, their hits will likely be more detrimental rather than helpful. The number 1 best strategy, where you can complete it in 2 phase, where you can complete 2 phase it? What? The number one best strategy where you can two-phase it is Ars Arcanum. As long as we set Donald and Goofy to do basically nothing, we can then knock Pot Scorpion over and cast Ars Arcanum. It'll be at half HP when it gets back up, and if we knock it down and do it again, it'll be defeated without ever using its big poison pool attack. Keep in mind, it's not foolproof. Donald and Goofy can mess it up if they get a hit in while it's knocked down. Somebody turn off the oven because this Scorpion is cooked. Grand Ghost appears in Monstro's stomach. It's a very consistent spawner at 81%, which is fantastic. Now, some interesting stuff I learned, both from fighting and the KH Wiki. Using a potion does 50 damage. High Potion does 70 damage, Mega Potion does 100. Ether does 20 damage but has a 2-second stun. Mega Ether does 50 with a 5-second stun. Elixir does 200 damage, and Mega Elixir does full 300 damage. Gravity Cast can drop a High Potion at 30%. Stop Cast can cause a High Potion to drop at 20%. Parrying or blocking attacks causes a potion to drop at 20%. And doing attacks while stunned gets us 20% potion drops per hit. Also, a combo has a 20% potion drop. Grand Ghost drops Frost Stones 100% when defeated, and on top of that, 5% when using a Mega Potion, 10% from a Mega Ether, 35% from an Elixir, and a Mega Elixir is a 100% chance for one, and then a 20% chance for another. We only need 7 Frost Stones total for synthesis. We'll need to be close to Grand Ghost and facing it to successfully use an item on it. And Aroga specifically is not useful here, as deflecting an attack will cause Grand Ghost to teleport away. Always start by dodge rolling towards Grand Ghost to avoid its opening attack. We can use an item then, or we can block or dodge its second attack, which will cause Grand Ghost to float around aimlessly for a bit, giving us a large window for an opening. Strategy 1, Mega Elixir. It's the best option and it's an instant kill. Mega Elixirs can be synthesized, 13 can be collected from chests and other locations, and getting 100 hits on the rare truffles. However, if you're out of Mega Elixirs or want to save the ones you have, we can instead use Strategy 2, 2 Elixirs. Elixirs can be synthesized, collected from 17 various sources, chests and such, can be received from pulling vegetables from Rabbit's Garden, and is dropped by Fat Bandit, particularly if we defeat it while it inhales, and also dropped by Defender, Battleship, Wyvern, and Rare Truffle at 50 hits. But let's say you're out of Elixirs. Strategy 3, 3 Mega Potions. This is if you really have neither of the previous options. Mega Potions can be synthesized, collected from 19 various sources, and dropped by Shadow, Search Ghost, Aqua Tank, White Knight Pirate, and Air Pirate. But as an alternative, Strategy 4, 6 potions or 5 high potions. If you really have to, this can still work in your favor, but you will only get 1 Frost Stone drop. This is a last resort strategy, but it's really fun to use because if you time it well, Grand Ghost will be stun locked. Now that this grave undertaking is done, we can move on to the other side. Bam! 4 puns! Like Grand Ghost before it, this has a spawn rate of 81%.
Nice! Very nice!
And it appears in the Matter Ruins of Halloween Town. We can tell if our spawn is successful because 1, then 3, then 5 White Knights will appear before the Chimera. And also, if you already picked up the Red Trinity on the Archway, it will be gone on a successful Chimera spawn. We can use any magic or attacks to beat the aforementioned White Knights, or eventually spawned in gargoyles, but I prefer Thunder. Chimera drops Blazing Stones at 35% upon defeat, and at 20% when 6 heads are deflected back, or 40% when all 9 heads are, of course not factoring in Lucky Strike. The heads have to make contact with the Chimera to count, and you can tell by the tech points that count up by 10 per returned head. Chimera can take 20 head hits before despawning, so I recommend trying for 9 hits, and 2 hits, giving us 5 potential stone drops, but if you don't think you can reach 9, then aim for 6, 6, and 8 hits, giving us 4 potential stone drops. Only melee attacks in Aroga, possibly also block, can deflect the red, yellow, and green heads. The heads only bounce around for about 8 seconds if you don't interact with them before returning to the Chimera on their own. Getting hit by a head will cause it to automatically return to Chimera, same if it hits Donald or Goofy.
Right to jail, right away.
So we should always try to have a summon like Simba, Genie, or Bambi to remove Donald and Goofy from the fight. Lastly, I found it easier for successful deflections if Chimera was on the ground, as opposed to on a rock. Strategy 1, stop an attack, preferably with Bambi out. Cast Stop on Chimera, then wail on it. When it opens up and the heads fall out, we can deflect with Aroga, or use a long Keyblade to knock them back. I've had success with both methods. Make sure you have Slapshot turned off if you're going to use the melee though. Strategy 2, Mushu, ultimate lazy strat. Summon Mushu and then spam its health bar. Cast Aroga, then when it opens up, stand nearby and let Aroga deflect the heads. That's it. With that done, I consider us ahead of the Chimera. Jet Balloon spawns in Pirate Ship or the ship deck of Neverland, and most likely will spawn if we come from the cabin hallway, but only at a 40% chance. 34% chance if we come from the captain's cabin. To know if Jet Balloon spawned, we only have to look at the command menu, as it will be blue if Jet Balloon spawns and red if not. Jet Balloon only drops dazzling stones when defeated, one at a 100% drop chance and a second at a 20% drop chance, not including Lucky Strike. Jet Balloon, however, won't drop dazzling stone if Sora has under 100 money. Oh, if it isn't the pause. If Sora is hit by a missile diver, which is the blue Heartless that Jet Balloon shoots, he will lose money, but Aroga deflects missile diver attacks. Missile divers can also be parried. Dazzling stones will disappear if they fall in the water, so try not to beat Jet Balloon over water, or have several treasure magnet abilities on instead. Jet Balloons can go below the water, that was not a fun experience. Limits cannot be activated while flying, and I wasn't able to figure out how long Jet Balloon would stay, at least not what affects it, as in money, in-game time, and level, none of that seemed to matter. Strategy 1, Mushu and Aroga. With MP as high as possible and enough treasure magnets, we can just gun down Jet Balloon, flying towards it and pelting it with fire breath until it's defeated, then catching the dazzling stone drops before they enter the water. Strategy 2, Genie. This is a great lazy strat, as we can just stand on the ship deck and let Genie do his thing. Strategy 3, Stop and Ragnarok. I had 16 MP for this strat, but more is definitely helpful. If we come from the captain's cabin, step a little bit to the right and then wait for Jet Balloon to fly directly to us. We'll cast Stop on it, then use Ragnarok, and we can pretty much obliterate it right then and there. But be warned, it can outrun the lasers. Another fishy encounter completed. Stealth Soldier is the only enemy that spawns in 2 separate rooms. Pink Agaricus doesn't count. We can find Stealth Soldier in Entrance Hall and the Grand Hall of Hollow Bastion, both of Riku's arena rooms, ironically. For Entrance Hall, I was most likely to get a spawn coming from Castle Gates at 50%. But Grand Hall had an overall much better spawn rate at 72% from Lift Stop. I didn't test Dark Depths, nobody's coming from there. Important to note, Entrance Hall has 4 spawns, while Grand Hall has 3. For Entrance Hall, coming from the lower library door, or Castle Gates, count the large bodies in front of the fountain. If 1 large body and 2 wizards appear, then a Stealth Soldier will also spawn. And if 2 large body appears, then try again. Coming from the lift stop, dodge roll past the large body and see if there's 3 blue raspberries. If yes, no spawn, but if 2, then Stealth Soldier will spawn. Coming from the upper library entrance, go left and count the blue rhapsodies. If 2 spawn, 1 behind and 1 in front of a wizard, then yes to the spawn. If 3 or 4 spawn around the wizard, then no. Entrance hall spawns are 1 in front of the fountain, 1 in front of the lift stop doorway, and 2 in the upper balcony opposite the Thunderstone. For Grand Hall, coming from the lift stop, if the second wave has 2 large bodies on the Heartless rug, then Stealth Soldier will spawn. But this is a better way to find out. At the Riku Ansem Arena, check if there's soldiers. If you see any soldiers at all, then Stealth Soldier will not spawn. But if you see wizards and a defender, then they'll spawn after the wave of 3 large bodies. Grand Hall spawns are 1 on the Heartless rug and 2 in the Riku Ansem Arena. If 1 Stealth Soldier remains with no other enemies, it will despawn. Stealth Soldier drops energy stones at 35% when defeated, not factoring Lucky Strike. Strategy 1, Aroga plus Stop plus Ars Arcanum. With maximized strength and MP, we can use Aroga for minor chip damage, then use Stop when Stealth Soldier is on the ground to keep it from escaping. And if you notice, this Stop isn't MP times 2, but that's because Stealth Soldier has a resistance. Just throwing that out there. Then immediately cast Ars Arcanum to absolutely obliterate its HP. Strategy 2, Graviga plus Aroga. Great lazy strat to spam if you have high MP. Basically, you're just going to spam Graviga on Stealth Soldier, keeping it stuck on the ground. Gravity and Gravera also work. The actual damage is going to be from Aroga, just doing chip damage until it's defeated. Strategy 3, Mushu or Strike Rate spam. Both are good strategies to fall back on. Mushu obliterates Stealth Soldier very quickly if we can keep up with it, while Strike Rate does good damage if we have a high strength stat, and it's an attack of all iframes which helps us stay alive. Even with the Stealth Soldier defeated, I still can't believe it didn't wear leather. It's made of hide. Neoshadow spawns in linked worlds of End of the World, and it's much more likely to spawn when entering from Volcanic Crater, aka the big hole in the back, kinky, at 56% versus 32% from the Final Rest. Neoshadow drops a Stormy Stone at 35% when all 7 are defeated, not factoring Lucky Strike. When coming from Volcanic Crater, the camera will face away from the enemies, so we'll use lock on as soon as we drop in to identify if we got the Neoshadow spawn or not. But from Final Rest, we'll, just see them most likely. Phase 1 has all the Neoshadows dogpiling us, but once we beat at least 3 of them, usually 4 or 5, we'll be pushed into Phase 2, where we have to beat them as they spawn randomly from 12 pools in the ground. Once only 2 Neoshadows remain, Phase 3 will begin, where we have to defeat the one running around while a secret second one tries to grab our leg. Once there's only one left, Phase 4 will begin, and the remaining Neoshadow will try to spawn more. We can either defeat the spawning Neoshadows or the previous single Neoshadow to progress. If we don't accomplish either, the amount of remaining Neoshadows will spawn in and reset us to whatever phase that many spawns would provide. Strategy 1, Aroga plus stop plus hit 'em. We'll maximize strength and MP and use Aroga ASAP as possible. Then dodge as the Neoshadows dive at us, and cast stop after like the 4th or 5th Neoshadow. Then we'll attack the stop Neoshadows, and if done properly, this will defeat multiple Neoshadows at once. In Phase 2, cast stop when a Neoshadow comes out and attack them. You may be able to defeat all the Neoshadows before Phase 3, but it's not always successful, though we are often pushed into Phase 4 instead. In Phase 3, cast stop on the top side Neoshadow and wail on it. Sometimes it doesn't work, we just gotta make sure it's not entering the ground when we cast stop. And lastly, Phase 4, stand where a single Neoshadow is and attack with Aroga on. Stop isn't actually useful here. Also, here's a quick table of all the stop times. Strategy 2, Ars Arcanum. Now if you don't care about stop and just want to wail on these dudes, just spam Ars Arcanum on them. It's really effective in Phase 2 and Aroga optional. And with that, these Neoshadows have finally seen the light. Thanks everyone so much for watching. I genuinely hope this helps. Thanks again for 5,000 subs. If you're new here, subscribe for more Kingdom Hearts. Feel free to share this video with your friends, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye!